Everybody had a great weekend. I know I did. Being a kid at heart for dad. It is Dr. Seuss month, and I thought I'd help one of you, all you little youngins, especially you toddlers, still working on your words. Dr. Seuss book. And it's titled Snow. Remember that blizzard we had last week? Quite the snowstorm. Hopefully it won't get one as fierce, but chances are Mother Nature's wanted to cloud us one more time just before spring. You never know. Check this out. Courtesy of Bar Library. Snow, it's titled. By Roy McKee and P.D. Eastman. Snow, says the little dog. Snow, snow, come out in the snow. Snow, snow, just look at the snow. Come out in the snow. You see that? I want to know if you like snow. Do you like it? Yes or no? Oh yes, I do like snow. You see that? Do you like it in your face? Yes, I like it any place. Snow is good for me and you, for men and women, horses too. Snow is good, it makes you slide. It lets you give your dog a ride. Snow is good for making tracks. It makes pictures with your back. You see that? We go uphill, the snow is deep. We can't go fast, the hill's steep. The hill's steep. You see this hill? Look at that. This kid pushing down the hill. We think our dog has gone to sleep. But then we get up at last, and down we come down fast. Amazing what a snow hill will do. See that? Sometimes we put on long feet, long feet, and walk up every hill we meet. Like they do in Denver, Colorado, and Aspen. Amazing snow hills to snow ski on. Downhill we fly, downhill we sail, our dog sails after on his tail. You see that? You ever been in the Pat Museum? You should go take your folks there sometime. The Pat Museum. That's right. Amazing World War II history here at Fort Knox. Downhill we fly, downhill we sail, our dog sail after on his tail. Look, the dog chasing after to the two kids. You see that? What a silly thing to do. Are your feet too long for you? Come on, get up, get on your way. We have a lot to do today. You see that? Now take some snow and make a ball. A lot of snowballs make a wall. Put on more snowballs one by one. Our house of snow will soon be done. See the snowball? They're making snowballs. Do you like bread? Do you like meat? Come in our house. Come in and eat. Snow's lots of fun, alright. It gives you a big appetite. We had our bread, we had our meat. Some bread is left for birds to eat. See the birds? Like the Wildlife Reservation Park. Bird restoration. I'm doing over here trying to bring back endangered birds. That's right. Me and other neighbors take part in all kinds of birds. I feel for the photographer who runs out of film trying to capture them. Now make another ball. Snow, push it, push it. See it go. What is snowball? See it grow. See it grow and grow. Much like the Canadian geese that fly over periodically. What will make? Let's make a man. Let's make the biggest man we can. See them make a new snowman? We will call our snowman Ned, but first he has to have a hat. See, they're building the snowman. His head will have to have a hat. His hat is on. Just look at that. He is so big, he is so tall, he is the biggest man of all. That sun, it came out fast. Do you think Ned is going to last? You know what happens when the sun comes out? Things start to warm up. The snowman starts to melt. That's right. Keep that sun away from Ned. That sun is going to his head. Starting to melt. The biggest snowman of them all is very, very small. Oh. Things started to warm up and he melted away. The way that sun is coming down, there soon will be no snow in town. Take some, save it from the sun. Take all you can, and run, run, run. The snow out there will come and go, but snow will keep in here, we know. So we'll put the snow away and play with it some other day. The end. You see that? Some people never seen snow before. You find what snow looks like in your freezer. Ta-da. A Dr. Seuss book. Amazing what people can do in the snow, as long as you dress warm and stay warm. That's right. To check out this book, check out your local library, like Bar Library for those military outposts here at Fort Knox, or the local library near you in town. If you can't find that book, you can always ask your parents to check one out at barnesandnobles.com. There's no bookstore for miles around you, keeping bookstores and everybody else employed. Also, do check out Walt Disney when you get a chance in Orlando, Florida. Your parents take you there, not just watching the movies on Sundays and Saturday evenings on ABC. That's right, Walt Disney movies. Next, I'm going to read you a favorite of mine, reminding me of the show Little House on the Prairie. But that's right, remember Micheal Landon? Ta-da! Laura Ingalls Wilder, illustrated by Garth Williams. That's right. Favorite of mine. Courtesy of Bar Library. Ta-da! When Laura Ingalls and her family set out for Kansas, they travel for many days in their covered wagon until they find the perfect place to call home. Little House on the Prairie. In memory of Micheal Landon and everybody else. Going West, Chapter 1. A long time ago, when all the grandfathers, here's to you teenagers and everybody else at Kiddo Art. A long time ago, when all the grandfathers and grandmothers of today were little boys and little girls that are very small babies, or perhaps not even born PMA, Mary and Laura Baby Carrie left their little house in the big woods of Wisconsin. They drove away and left it lonely and empty in the clearing among the big trees, and they never saw the little house again. They were going to the Indian country. PA said there were too many people in big woods now. Quite often Laura heard. See that? Ringing for that axe, which was not P.A.'s axe or that ghost shop, that did not come from the gun. The path that went by the little house had become a road almost every day. Laura and Mary there playing and stirred in surprise at a wagon slowly creaking by that road. Wild animals would not stay in the country where there were so many people. P.A. did not like to stay either. He liked the country where the wild animals lived. Without being afraid, he liked to see the little fawns and their mothers, and looking at him from the shady woods, and the fat lazy bears eating berries in the wild berry patches. In the long winter evenings, he talked to Ma about the western country in the west. The land was level and there were no trees. The grass grew thick and high. There the wild animals wandered and fed as though they wandered in a pasture that stretched much farther than a man could see. And there were no settlers, only Indians lived there. One day in the very last of the winter, Pierre said to Ma, "Seeing you don't object, I've decided to go see the West. I have an offer for this place, and we can sell it for now as much as we're ever likely to get enough to give us a start in a new country." "Oh, Charles, must we go now?" Ma said. The weather was so cold, and the snug house was so comfortable. "If we are going this year, we must go now," said Paul. "We can't get across the Mississippi after the ice breaks." So Paul told the little house he sold the cow and calf. He made a hickory bows and fastened them upright to the wagon box. Ma helped him stretch white canvas over them. In the thin dark before morning, Ma gently shook Mary and Laura till they got up. In firelight and candlelight, she washed and combed them and dressed them warmly. Over their long red flannel underwear, she put wool petticoats and wool dresses and long wool stockings. She put their coats on them, and their rabbit-like skin hooks, and their red yarn mittens. Everything from the little house was in the wagon, except the beds and the tables and their chairs. They did not need to take these because Pa could always make new ones. There was thin snow on the ground. The air was still cold and dark. The bare tree stood up against the frosty stars, but in the east the sky was pale, and through the gray woods came lanterns with wagons and horses, bringing Grandpa and Grandma and Aunt and uncles and cousins. Mary and Laura clung tight to their rag dolls and did not say anything. The cousins stood around and looked at them. Grandma, all the aunts hugged and kissed them, and hugged them and kissed them again, saying goodbye. Pa hung his gun to the wagon bows inside the canvas top where he could reach it. Quickly from the seat, he hung his bullet pouch and powder horn beneath it. He said he laid the fiddle box carefully between pillows where jolting would not hurt the fiddle. The uncle helped him hitch the horses to the wagon. All the cousins were told to kiss Mary and Laura, so they did. Pa picked up Mary and then Laura and set them on the bed in the back of the wagon. He helped Ma climb up to the wagon seat, and Grandma reached up and gave her baby carry. Pa swung up and sat beside Ma, and Jack the brindle bulldog went under the wagon. So they all went away from their little log house. The shutters were over the windows so the little house could not see them go. It stayed there inside the log. Fenced behind the two big oak trees that summertime made green guru roofs for Mary and Laura to play under. And at the last of the little house, Pa promised that when they came to the west, Laura should see Papoose. "What is a Papoose?" she asked him. He said, "A Papoose is a little brown Indian baby." They drove a long way through the snowy woods till they came to the town of Pepin. Mary and Laura had seen it once before, but it looked different now. The door of the store and the doors of all the houses were shut. Stumps were covered with snow, and no little Children were playing outdoors. Big cords of wood stood amongst the stumps. Only 2 or 3 men in the boots and fur caps and bright plaid coats were to be seen. Ma and Laura Mary ate bread and molasses in the wagon, and the horses ate corn from her nose bags while inside the store. Pa traded his furs for they would need on the journey. They could not stay long in the town because they must cross the lake that day. The enormous lake stretched flat and smooth and went all the way to the edge of the gray sky. You see that picture here? Nice. It's being in a Western movie. Wyatt Earp and all them. Haven't you seen Old Yeller? That's a good movie. Captain's Commander, Russell Crowe. Pa hung his sea adventures. Pa hung his gun to the wagon bows inside the canvas top where he could reach it. Quickly from the sea hung his bullet pouch and powder horn beneath it. He laid the fill box carefully between pillows where jolting again would not hurt the filth. The uncle helped him hitch the horses to the wagon. All cousins were told to kiss Mary and Laura, so they did. Pa picked up Mary and then Laura and set them on the bed in the back of the wagon. He helped Ma climb up the wagon and seat, and Grandma reached up and gave her her baby Carrie. Pa swung up and sat beside Ma and Jack. Big story based on the show. Little House on the Prairie. That's right. Brindle Bulldog went under the wagon, so they all went from the little log house. The shutters were over the window, so the little house could not see them go. It stayed there inside the log. Ma in bed made on the floor before the fire, while Pa slept outside the wagon to guard it and the horses. In the night, a strange noise awakened Laura. It sounded like a shot, but it was sharper and longer than a shot. But it was sharper and longer, and again she heard it. Mary and Carrie were asleep, but Laura couldn't sleep until Ma's voice came softly through the door. Go to sleep, Laura, Ma said. It's only the ice cracking. Next morning, Pa said, it's lucky we crossed yesterday. Caroline wouldn't wonder if the ice broke up today. We made it a little crossing, and we're lucky. It didn't start breaking up while we were out in the middle of it. I thought about that yesterday, Charles, Ma replied. Laura hadn't thought about it, but before now she thought that would have happened of the ice and crackled under the wagon wheels, and they all had gone down into the cold water in the middle of the vast lake. You're frightened somebody, Charles, Ma said Pa. Caught Laura up in his safe. Big hug. We're across the Mississippi, he said, hugging her joyously. How do you like that? Do you half pint of sweet cider, half drunk on? Do you little like going out west where Indians live? Question. Laura said she liked it, and she asked if they were in the Indian country now, but they were not. They were in Minnesota. It was a long way to Indian territory. Almost every day the horses traveled as far as they could. Almost every night Pa and Ma made camp in a new place. Sometimes they had to stay several days in one camp because a creek was in a flood and they couldn't cross it till the water went down. They crossed too. You see that? Look at that. Many creeks to the camp. They saw strange woods and hills and stranger country with no trees. They drove across the rivers on long wooden bridges. And they came to one wide yellow river that had no bridges. That was the Missouri River Pierre drove onto. How many knew that? That was on the Missouri River Pierre drove onto a raft, and they all sat still in the wagon while the raft went swaying from the safe land and slow across all the rolling muddy yellow river. Yellow water. After more days they came to hills again in a valley. The wagon struck fast in deep black mud. Rain poured down and thunder crashed and lightning flattered. There was no place to make camp and build a fire. Everything was damp and chill and miserable in the wagon, but they had to stay in and eat cold bits of food. Next day, P.A. found a place on the hillside where they could camp. The rain had stopped, but they had to wait. a week before the creek went down, and the mud dried so that Pa could dig the wagon wheels out of it and go on. One day while they were waiting, a tall, lean man came out of the woods. Pa seeing riding a black pony. He and Pa talked when they went off and into the woods together, and when they came back, both of them were riding black ponies. Pa had traded the tired brown horses for their ponies. They were beautiful little horses, and Pa said they were not really ponies, they were Western Mustangs. They are strong as a mule and gentle as a kitten, Pa said. They had larger, soft, gentle eyes and long manes and tails, and slender legs and feet much smaller and quicker than the feet of a horse in the big woods. When Laura asked what their names were, Pa said that she and Mary could name them. So Mary named one Pet, and Laura named the other Patty. When the creek's roar was not so loud and the road was dry, Pa dug the wagon out of the mud. He hitched Pet and Patty to it, and they all went on together. They had come in the covered wagon all the long way from the big woods of Wisconsin across Minnesota and Island, Missouri. All that long way. Jack had trotted under the wagon. Now they had set out to go across Kansas. Kansas was an endless flatland covered with tall grass blowing in the wind. Day after day they traveled in Kansas and saw nothing but the rippling grass, enormous sky in a perfect circle. The sky curved down to the level lands, and the wagons was in the circle's exact middle. All day long, Pat and Patty went forward, trotting and walking, trying to get again, but they couldn't get out of the middle of that circle. When the sun went down, the circle was still around them, and the edge of the sky was pink. Then slowly the land became black. The wind became lonely sound in the grass. The campfire was small and lost in so much space, but large stars hung from the sky, glittering so near that Laura felt she almost touched them. Next day the land was the same. The sky was the same. Circle did not change. Laura and Mary was tired of them. There was nothing more to do and nothing new to look at. The bed was made in the back of the wagon and nearly covered with a gray blanket. Laura and Mary sat on the canvas sides of the wagon top were rolled up and tied so the prairie wind blew in. It whipped Laura's straight brown hair and Mary's golden curls every which way. A strong light screwed up their eyelids. Sometimes the big jackrabbit fell in a big bounce way over the blowing grass. Jack paid no attention. Poor Jack was tired, too, and his paws were sore from traveling so far. The wagon kept on jolting. The canvas stopped, snapped in the wind. Behind the wagon, always the same. Pa's back was hunched, the reins were loose in his hands. The wind blew his long brown beard. Ma sat straight and quiet, her hands folded in her lap. Baby Carrie slept in a rest amongst the soft bundles. Oh, wow, Mary yawned. And Laura said, Ma, can't we get out and run behind the wagon? My legs are so tired. No, Laura, Ma said. Aren't we going to camp pretty soon? Laura asked. It seemed such a long time since noon, when they had eaten their lunch sitting on the clean grass in the shadows of the wagon. Pa answered, not yet. It's too early to camp now. I want to camp now. I'm so tired, Laura said. Then Ma said, Laura, that was all, but it meant that Laura must not complain. So she did not complain any more out loud. But she was still naughty inside. She sat and thought complaints to herself. Her legs arched and the wind wouldn't stop, blowing her hair. The grass waved and the wagons jolted, and nothing else happened for a long time. We're coming to a creek or a river, Pa said. Girls, can you see those trees ahead? Laura stood up and held to one of the wagon's bows. Far ahead she saw a low, dark smudge. That's a tree, Pa said. You can tell by the shape of the shadows in this country trees mean water. That's where we'll camp tonight. Crossing the creek, Pat and Patty began to trot briskly as if they were glad to. Laura held tight to the wagon, and Bo stood up in the jolting wagon. Beyond Paul's shoulder and far across the waves of green grass, She could see the trees, and they were not like any tree she had seen before. They were no taller than bushes. "Whoa!" said Paul. "Now, which way?" he muttered to himself. The road divided here, and you could not tell which was the more traveled way. Both of them were faint wheel tracks in the grass. One went toward the west, and the other slow. You see that? Look at that. That's an amazing tree bed. See? Down a little toward the sailboat. Soon vanished in the tall blowing grass. Better go downhill, I guess, Paul decided. The creek's down in the bottoms, but must be this one the way to the ford. He turned Pet and Patty toward the south. The road went down and up and down and up and down again, over gently curving the land. The trees were near now, but they were no taller than Laura gasped and clutched the wagon bow. For almost under Pet's and Patty's noses, there were no more blowing grass, there were no land at all. She looked beyond the edge of the land and across the tops of the trees. The road turned there. For a little way it went along the cliff's top, then went sharply downward. Paul put on the brakes. Pat and Patty braced themselves backward and almost sat down. The wagon wheels slid on little by little lowering the wagon farther down the steep slope or into the ground. Jagged cliffs of bare red earth rose up on both sides of the wagon. Grass waved along their tops, but nothing grew on their seams. Straight up and down sides they were hot and heated. Came from them again Laura's face. The wind still blowing overhead, but it did not blow down into this deep crack in the ground. The stillness seemed strange and empty. Then one more the wagon was level. The narrow crack down which had come open into the bottomlands. Here grew the tall trees whose tops Laura had seen them from the prairie. Above, shady groves were scattered on the rolling meadows, and into the grove deers were lying down hardly to be seen amongst the shadows. The deers turned their heads toward the wagon, and curious fawns stood up to see it more clearly. Laura was surprised, because she did not see the creek, but the bottomlands were wide down here below the prairie. Gentle hills and open sunny places. The air was still and hot. Under the wagon's wheels the ground was soft. In the sunny open spaces the grass grew thin and deer cropped its shore. For a while the high bare cliffs on red earth stood up behind the wagon, but they were almost hidden behind hills and trees when Pet and Patty stopped to drink from the creek. The rushing sound of the water filled the still air all along the creek banks. The trees hung over it and made it dark with shadows. In the middle it ran swiftly, sparkling silver and blue. "This creek's pretty high," Paul said, "but I guess we can make it all right. You can see this is a ford by the old railroad ruts. What do you say, Caroline?" "Whatever you say, Charles," Ma answered. Pat and Patty lifted their wet noses. They pricked their ears forward, looked at the creek. Then they pricked them backward to hear what Paul could say. They sighed and laid their soft noses together to whisper to each other. A little way upstream, Jack was slapping the water with his red tongue. "I'll tie down the wagon cover," Paul said, and he climbed down from the seat, unrolled the canvas side, and tied them firmly to the wagon box. Then he pulled the rope at the back so that the canvas puckered together in the middle, leaving only a tiny round hole too small to see through. Mary huddled down on the bed. She did not like forward. She was afraid of the rushing water. But Laura was excited. She liked the splashing. Paul climbed into the seat, saying, "They may have to swim over there in the middle, but we'll make it all right, Caroline." Laura thought of Jack and said, "I wish Jack could ride in the wagon, Paul." Paul did not answer. He gathered the reins tightly in his hands. "Ma said Jack can swim, Laura. He'll be all right." The wagon went forward softly in the mud. Water began to splash against the wheels. The splashing grew louder. The wagon shook as the noise of water struck at it. Then all at once the wagon lifted and bounced and swayed. It was lovely. It was a lovely feeling. The noise stopped, And Ma said sharply, lie down, girls. Quick as a flash, Mary and Laura dropped flat on the bed. When Ma spoke like that, he did as they were told. Ma's arm pulled a smothering blanket over them, and the heads and all. Be still just as you are, don't move, she said. Mary didn't move. She was trembling still. But Laura could not help wriggling a little bit. She did so want to see what's happening. She could feel the wagon swaying and turning. The splashing was noisy again, and again it died away. Then Pa's voice frightened Laura. It said, take them, Caroline. The wagon lurched. There was a sudden heavy splash beside. Laura sat straight up and clawed the blanket from her head. Pa was gone. Ma sat alone, holding tight to the reins with both hands. Mary hid her face in the blanket, but Laura rose up farther. She couldn't see the creek bank. She couldn't see anything in front of the wagon, but water's rushing at it. And in the water, three heads, Pet's head and Patty's head, and Pa's small head, Pa's fist in the water, was holding tight to Pet's brittle. Laura could faintly hear Pa's voice through. Then the rushing of the water sounded calm and cheerful, but she couldn't hear what he said. He was talking to the horses. Ma's face went white and scared. Lie down, Laura, Ma said. Laura lay down. She felt cold and sick. Her eyes were shut tight, but she could still see the terrible water and Pa's brown bird drowning in it. For a long time the wagon swayed and swung. Mary cried without making a sound, and Laura's stomach felt thicker and thicker. Then the front wheels struck and grated, and Pa shouted the whole wagon and jerked and jolted and tipped backward. But the wheels were turning on the ground. Laura was up again, holding to the seat. She saw Pa and Patty scrambling wet backs, climbing a steep bank, and Pat running beside them, shouting, "Hi, Patty! Hi, Pat! Get up! Whoops, Daisy, good girls!" At the top of the bank, they stood still, panting and dripping, and the wagon stood still, safely out of the creek. Pa stood pounding and dripping too, and Pa said, "Oh, Charles." There, Caroline," said Pa. "We're all safe, thanks to a good tight wagon box full and fastened and running gear. I never saw a creek rise so fast in my life. Pat and Patty are good swimmers, but I guess they wouldn't have made it if I hadn't helped them out. If Pa had not known what to do, or if Ma had been too frightened to drive, or if Laura and Mary had been naughty and bothered her, then they would all have been lost. The river would have rolled them over and over and carried them away and down them, and nobody would have ever known what became of them. For weeks, perhaps, no other person would come along that road. Well, said Pa, all was well that ends well. And Ma and Charles, you're wet to the skin. Before Ma could answer, Laura cried, "Oh, where's Jack?" They had forgotten Jack. They had left him on the other side of that dreadful water. Now they could see him anywhere. He must have tried to swim after them, but they would not seem struggling in the water now. Laura swallowed hard to keep from crying. She knew it was shameful to cry, but there was crying inside her all along the way from Wisconsin. Poor Jack had followed so patiently and faithfully. Now they had left him to drown. He was too tired, and they might have taken him in the wagon. He stood on the bank and sat there, seeing the wagon going away from him as they didn't care for him at all. We're going to stop there, kids. Carrying on. That was the Little House on the Prairie. I'm going to say a prayer. And up next will be Prairie Confidential, the real story for a dog. Yeah, Mary, he's definitely moving around here. Ta-da! Okay, ready? Now you're laying down and say your prayers before bed. Heavenly Father, look upon our community of faith, which is the Church of your Son, Jesus Christ. Help us to witness to his love by loving all our fellow creatures, without exception, under the leadership of the Holy Father and the bishops. Keep us faithful to Christ's mission of calling all men and women, young and old and children, to your service, that there may be one fold and one shepherd. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. May God watch over those that care about you kids out there, especially you kids who want parents. I hope you find ones worthy of you. In the meantime, keep writing. Always writing Care Bear Cares right over here in Elizabethtown, Kentucky, home of Fort Knox, Abraham Lincoln, here in Kentucky, and also amazing parks and places in the zoo. You check out your local listings where the nearest zoo is at, and take your parents over there, and also stay educated, keep going to the libraries. Also, they're places that help you stay educated. I hope you enjoyed this story tonight. So continue part 2 and so forth on Little House on the Prairie. Stay tuned for next weekend. My heart goes out to you. Much love. Especially to you kids at church, St. James that I go to, and other churches here in Elizabethtown and all over. Supporting everybody else and keeping people employed. Hope y'all take it easy. Sing your little heart's content to sleep. Remember to have pleasant dreams, and I hope you wake into a good day, knowing that I'm never too far away and you're never alone in the world. Especially that Walt Disney movie, When You Wish Upon a Star. How I wonder where you are, night and day. Here I lay, praying amongst you. Care Bear cares about you. May you have good dreams. Remember to take your folks to see Walt Disney. Take them to Orlando, Florida, where dreams come true. Sleep away, sleep all night. Let hold your blanket close to you tight. How I care about you. From my heart, you sleep. And have a good day too. Much love.